welcome back to this Monday edition of Focal Point AFR Talk. Brian Fisher is my name. The program is Focal Point, the home of muscular Christianity on Conservative Talk Radio. The network is the American Family Radio Talk Network. Just a reminder, this week is my Military Bible Stick Promotion Week right here on AFR Talk. We're encouraging you to give a gift of $25 to underwrite the cost of one military Bible stick. This will be a Bible stick. It's an audio version of the New Testament. It's battle-tested, battle-hardened, field-tested, so it's pretty sturdy. And it's the entire New Testament on audio version. It's a lightweight device. It's got some selected psalms in it. For $25, you can put one of these military Bible sticks in the hands of one of our men and women in uniform. Call 800-800-2555. 800-800-2555, or you can go to militarybiblestick.com. Encourage you to do that today. Now, back to the Michael Sam situation. I don't know if you were with us on Wednesday or Thursday, and I predicted, I said Michael Sam was going to get drafted. NFL is going to see to it. NFL is going to coerce, force, pressure, intimidate, demand that some NFL franchise draft this guy, because they do not want the gay Gestapo that Louis Gohmert talked about coming after them. They're afraid of the bullies and the bigots of big gay. They're intimidated by them. This is 3.5% of the American people, ladies and gentlemen. And not every homosexual, they comprise 3.5% of the population. Not all of them are gay activists. Remember, I've said we have no beef with them. We want something better for them. We want to bring them to faith in Christ. We want to help them lead that lifestyle. But we don't have any quarrel with them. We grieve for them because we think they face a very dark future in this age and the age to come. We want something better for them. But our beef is with that tiny little percentage that are actively pressing the homosexual agenda on the rest of society. That's the gay Gestapo. Small percentage of this small percentage of the American population. And they've got the NFL totally intimidated, bullied, backed into a corner. NFL cowering in the corner. Roger Goodell with his hands over his head, please don't hit me, please don't hit me. So they were going to compel some NFL franchise to draft Michael Sam just to appease the vengeful gods of the homosexual movement. And so they did. Michael Sam drafted 249th. This is 7th from last. And I said, I remember I told you on Thursday, they're not going to let him be drafted last. No way, because the last guy that's drafted is nicknamed Mr. Irrelevant. They didn't want to take a chance that moniker was going to be hung around his neck. And so they managed to have him drafted 7th from the end by the St. Louis Rams. Now, as you remember, the problem with Michael Sam from a football standpoint is he's probably not good enough to play in the NFL. That's why nobody would take him. Trust me, if that guy could play football, he'd have gone in the first round. I guarantee it, because the NFL is looking for players that can hit and have speed and strength and stamina and quickness and instinct. And they're not going to care about his sexual orientation if he can track down a ball carrier in the open field. They're not going to care about that. So if this guy could play, he would have been drafted much earlier. And I think this is a possible good career move on the part of Michael Sam. I think he knew that he was what's called a tweener. He wasn't big enough and strong enough for the defensive line. He wasn't fast enough or quick enough to play linebacker. He knew his limitations. Now, apparently plays with a lot of heart, give you 110% every time out, but that just isn't always enough to offset physical limitations. So I think Michael Sam's a pretty smart fella. Said, I know how I can absolutely guarantee you that I will get drafted. Best career move he ever made was come out of the closet saying, I'm gay, and that guaranteed that the NFL was going to be pressured into finding some way or another to draft him on draft day, and they did. Now, you think for a minute, comparing how Michael Sam was treated with how Tim Tebow was treated at draft time. Remember that? Tim Tebow is somebody that engages in devout Christianity. Michael Sam engages, on the other hand, in what's called the infamous crime against nature. Tim Tebow, a devout practitioner engaged in Christianity, was demonized. He was vilified. He was ridiculed. He was mocked. He was made fun of. He was belittled. He was demeaned. He was degraded. He was diminished. Now, Michael Sam engages in what has always been known in Western jurisprudence as the infamous crime against nature. It's infamous because it's bad. It's not good. It ought to be infamous. It's not famous. It's not something to celebrate, not something to promote, not something to celebrate. It's infamous, and it is a crime. It's something that ought to be contrary to public policy because of the risks it poses to public health. And it is against nature. This is exactly what Paul says in Romans 1, talking about lesbianism and homosexuality. They are contrary to nature. Whether you believe in evolution or as we do, and that God created man as a special creation, obviously the human body was simply not designed for the uses to which it's put in homosexual conduct. So it is contrary to nature. Now, he engages in this, which is a felony offense in every place in the United States until 1962, and a felony in the other 49 states until 1972. And he's lionized. He's extolled. He's glorified. He's praised. He is exalted. He is lifted up. He is celebrated. Even got a congratulatory note from the President of the United States. No football player ever drafted number 249 has ever gotten an attaboy from the President of the United States. President Obama was not celebrating his football ability. He was celebrating his sexual proclivities. Now, you want to talk about the power of the gay Gestapo. There's a safety for the Miami Dolphins by the name of Don Jones. He was drafted last year in the 7th round, hung on, made the squad. He sent out 2 tweets yesterday in response to this big, wet, sloppy kiss that Michael Sam placed on his gay lover on national TV all over Drudge yesterday. Couldn't miss it. And the ick factor was evidently pretty high with him. I didn't see it, but I can understand, and most people appreciate the reaction. Some people I know I've talked to, they actually turn off the TV or turn away because that scene was so embarrassing and so shameful and so degrading. But at any rate, he sent out a couple of tweets expressing his reservations about this. He has already been fined. He got fined probably within 30 minutes of posting those tweets. So the gay Gestapo is out in full force. He's gotten fined, and he's being sent to a re-education camp. And the Miami Dolphins will not let him back on the team until they are convinced that he has been successfully and thoroughly lobotomized when it comes to the acceptability of homosexual behavior. So again, I just find this inconsistent for the NFL. They spent $765 million in compensation for people who are victims of concussions. And here they are, these fluttering hysterics over Michael Sam. It's inexplicable in a world that's sane and rational because, as I mentioned in the last segment, young black males comprise the single highest risk category for HIV/AIDS. I'm going to give you some hard data because we believe public policy should not be based on emotion, should not be based on sentiment. It should not be based on passing fancy, should not be based on the latest whim, should be based on solid science, solid research, solid morality, and the best we know about biology and health practices in medicine. We believe public policy ought to be based on all those things. Well, the CDC, again, Centers for Disease Control, not part of the vast right-wing conspiracy. The Centers for Disease Control reports that 78% of all new HIV infections are among males, primarily those who have sex with other men. 78% of all the new HIV/AIDS infections. And according to the CDC, HIV/AIDS is taking a monstrous toll on young males in particular. More than a quarter, 26% of all the new HIV infections in the United States are found in young males between the ages of 13 and 24, particularly in the 20 to 24 age category, which is exactly the one into which Michael Sam falls. In fact, the CDC points out that young men represent the only age group in which the rate of HIV/AIDS infections is showing a significant increase. Now, despite the fact that blacks are 12% of the population, blacks who are Michael Sam's age represent an astonishing 57% of all new HIV/AIDS cases among young males. So once again, blacks are 12% of the population of the United States. But among blacks who are Michael Sam's age, 57% of the new HIV infections are among young black males, just like Michael Sam. In other words, they are at extremely elevated risk for coming down with HIV/AIDS, and we know from that International Journal of Epidemiology that'll take 8 to 20 years off of somebody's life. In fact, the CDC says this: there are more new HIV infections among young black males than any other age or racial group, period. There are more new HIV/AIDS infections among young black males of Michael Sam's age than any other age or racial group, period. Now, the estimated rate of new HIV infection for black males is 8 times as high as the infection rate among white men. Here's how I put it in my column. In other words, as a young black homosexual male, Michael Sam is in the single highest risk category for HIV/AIDS that exists on the planet. The NFL should be warning him, not glorifying him, begging him. NFL should be begging him to pursue reparative therapy in the hopes of saving his life. That is, if the NFL was characterized by genuine compassion rather than this fake ersatz kind that they showed yesterday. Here's my last paragraph in the column. Alas, the only people who truly care for Michael Sam are those who love him enough to tell him the truth about the health risks of homosexual behavior. And that, sadly, does not include the leadership of the NFL. They long ago sold their souls to the virulent, vitriolic bullies and bigots of Big A. But here's the tragedy. It will be Michael Sam who pays the price for their soulless cowardice. You want to call? Last segment, we'll take calls on this, on the Michael Sam draft situation. Take calls on this, 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840 is the number to call. We'll take your calls over the next 15 minutes. And once again, you know what I'm arguing is the people who really care about Michael Sam are people who do not want him to get HIV/AIDS. We do not want him to die young. We want him to live a long, healthy, and prosperous life. The way to do that is to leave the lifestyle of homosexuality.